it just takes a while to.
Oh, okay. Perfect. So, hi, welcome to our third live. We're gonna be drawing some compositions, some thumbnails. We're gonna be just mainly free drawing. So if you have some questions, you want to go something about it, it's gonna be a relaxed drawing session. It's gonna be extensive, to say the least. It's gonna be maybe an hour and 40 minutes, so an hour and 50, close to 2 hours. Hey, what's up, Rake? Sensei, YouTube Sensei Rake is here. This is gonna be a good session. Start with some areas to draw and to think about some compositions, right? Let's just randomly do some frames, right? Let's do some square ones here. We're just gonna be drawing here some compositions, okay? Hello. Hello everyone that is joining in. Okay, so it's gonna be compositions. The good thing about making these frames is that you already start thinking about your limitations, and when you have limitations, you start to get creative, right? That's one of the most important things about composition, is knowing what you have, how many pieces you have to build your ship, right? Okay, so this is gonna be a vertical composition, and we're gonna be drawing a Dutch angle, which means that the composition is gonna be a little bit tilted. So we can just set a little bit of a straight line like this and diagonal, and it's gonna be our horizon line. So now we know where to set everything about, right? Okay. Other thing we can do is draw some shapes. If we don't know what to draw, if we're just like figuring out things, we can just make, like, let's say this diamond shape here. So now we can imagine that there's like a body coming towards us, right? Let's say it's gonna be Wolverine, okay? Because it's edgy here. We have the diamond shape creates this angles. So let's generate a composition here. Remember, these aren't classes. It's just me just drawing, but they kind of look like a class because I'm explaining some of these stuff. But it's mostly experimentation. So let's say we have here, we're gonna use a 1-point perspective. Let's keep it simple. Since when we're making something dynamic, movement most of the time has it's like a zigzag. So if the right leg is coming towards us, the left leg will be going backwards. Like it's gonna be going to the behind, and it's gonna happen the other way around with the arms. So here, the left arm is gonna go to the front, and the right arm is gonna go to the back. Remember, these frames aren't to be respected 100%. So if we have our hand that is going to be a little bit outside the frame, we can just adjust the frame like it's like the digital file. Okay. So we're starting to see how this thing's going. Okay. So if we have one character like this, it can get boring if it's just a character running towards us. So what we can do is start to do like some effects, right? Like we can add some debris, some like dust on the ground like that. We can even add like, let's say, Archangel here, like a flying character on the back. Let's say we add Jean Grey or Phoenix flying like that. We can even add Storm, like really tiny, just stick figure in the back. But we keep the composition like a diamond still. We're just shifting towards whatever fits best for our composition. Then we can add like some buildings in the back. So it's more like a puzzle, and we start adding stuff as soon as as we see like an opening to it's like, oh, I have this piece, I can add this on this little spot. Rick asks, how do you pick the spot to add the background characters? It's mostly like, okay, if I have here like a triangle in this corner, and I have like this energetic line that comes from the vanishing point itself. Let's say like, oh, okay, we can add something that makes the character a little bit more expressive or dynamic. It makes it more, it looks faster, to say the least. So if here we have the same lines, but on the right side of the composition, we can add a character like that. So this is gonna be a foreshortened body of like a flying character, and then it creates like a space on the page where we can add something else. So instead of adding, maybe we could add the sun or the moon or whatever, we're gonna choose a character that it's related to the main one here, and we can add Storm, say. And instead of the dust on the bottom, we could add, let's say, Beast running, because this is a very like classic composition, right? Like all of the team characters just running towards us, like they're on a mission or whatever. So how, like here I added the Beast, how to take in consideration the proportions of the scale, right? So the main thing we have to keep is like, if Wolverine is going to be in the foreground, he always has to be bigger. Sometimes we can create characters on the back that are, I don't know, it could be double the size or even smaller. It doesn't matter. Like if it looks good and you can just kind of manage how to place it and it looks all right, that's good enough, at least for this part about the thumbnail. If you're gonna make it like very, very detailed for a cover or whatever, of course you have to take in consideration all their measurements if you want to. I'm like, I've seen some cover work that is not like that accurate, but your rates, like your art is always on point. Like all the characters you add and all that stuff is always very accurate. So yeah. But thanks for the question, because it's very important for me that I'm starting with this YouTube stuff to keep my head on the game. So let's say we add some lines to this, right? Now we have something that is solid. We can start with the face. So we set a focal point here already. It was already set, but when we add ink on it, we start looking at the piece in a different sense, like more immersive. It is also good to know the process from another artist. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why it's very good to always hang with your artist friends and to see how they resolve stuff, right? That's what I love about conventions, because you have the time to look at all that stuff. Yeah, yes. You can also see if it matches, or you're learning, or you say like, nah, this Alfredo doesn't know, doesn't know. I was gonna say bad word, but yeah. So now we have our face. This is not the most interesting composition ever. Like it's just like a very straightforward. But sometimes it's very daunting to start a drawing and think about 8 characters, 5 characters, even 2 characters on the same composition. It's like, how do I do it? Like, okay, you just have to analyze your frame, how your page is looking, how many characters are you gonna be placing, and who's the main character or who's the focal point on this. So if you think about it, and you can resolve that part first, and then add the other characters as, like, as I said before, like some puzzles, like some puzzle pieces, and you can just like arrange it. Of course, you can always make it better, but that's why you need to keep practicing and keep making these composition thumbnails. Like if you like, I've seen some very good books on this from Alex Ross. You can see his thought process about every composition he does, and it's like, wow, amazing, amazing art, amazing thought process. Yeah, that's one of the most important things. Like, how are are these pieces being done? From their Fox says, watching your process has helped me a lot, and it's really fun to watch the characters come to life. Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. It's very, feels really good to be able to be for to serve as inspiration for others. And you want to learn some anatomy tricks, you should go to Rake's channel. He has some very very good videos about how to draw specific parts of the body. It's really good explaining it. Amazing thought process. One of my favorite artists is that inspired me to at least keep an interest on Marvel was Bengus or Gouda Cheese, or I don't know. He has a lot of names. Bengasu, Bengasu sama, Gouda Cheese. You know who I'm talking about, right? The guy behind all the art for Marvel vs. Capcom. That's how I got into drawing X-Men characters. Let's add some here, since I'm drawing from afar because of the camera angle. I'm just gonna add like a little bit for the silhouette for these characters. Yeah, Darkstalkers and Street Fighter Alpha. What else? Rival Schools, I think. And some other games. And also, Daigo Ikeno, Devil May Cry 4, um, Street Fighter 4. What else? Street Fighter 3. Lots of Street Fighter. Cool Spirit says, "Hey Ace, what's up? I don't know if you remember me. Yeah, I bet I took one of your dynamic sketching courses last year. Yeah, and you're also the top commenter on Instagram. I really appreciate you. Yeah, how's it been? It's great to see you here. Great to see you all here. It's been challenging to be on YouTube, but it's amazing as well. Let's see. See how everything here is coming to life. Characters in the background are merely scribbles, but they can already look like the characters themselves. Hello, hello. Welcome to our channel. Welcome to our lives. I'm gonna be making more recurringly. I'm so glad we're making a community here. Makes me really happy to see you chatting here. It's hard for me to open more courses, live courses, and I've also gotten how do you say this, offers to make some courses with big brands, but I just can't. I have too much work on me, so sometimes I want to be as consistent as possible here on YouTube, but sometimes work is very hard too, so I cannot commit myself to make some courses, but this seems perfect right now. Yeah, talk to each other, learn from each other. That's very important. Put your link here so the spectators can also see your channel, Latoya. That's great. That's great, man. So we have here a composition. I'll always leave some corner for my signature because for me it's also part of the composition. So we see we have this. Let's add some detail, well, a little bit more of like some values on the Wolverine, so it pulls even more attention, not only because if it's on the front and also because of scale, but also because of the line weight and the value. So we can already start filling in the dark spots of his suit, right? And it's even easier to grasp the main character. For those who don't know, This is a brush pen. It's a pen tool brush pen. It's at first can be very daunting to use because it's very flimsy, but it's very noble. In the end, this is one of my favorite tools. This is my favorite tool to ink, like 100%. But at first, I only use it for line art, for bigger drawings. Like if it's gonna be, I don't know, like 18 by 24 inches page, I've used this kind of material. But now I use it for a lot of things, and I really recommend it. But and they're fairly easy to get, since the late Grandmaster Kim Jin-gi started popularizing them and making them, well, for the say the least, like for people to actually know about this. Because when everybody asked the Grandmaster, "What pen do you use?" he hated that question. Well, at least, well, I don't know if hate, but yeah, he said that a lot. That people, for people to stop asking him what pens or what pen he was using. But it was, most of the time, it was this one. And there's two types. There's this one, which has the gray cartridge, even though it's a black ink. This one with the gray cartridge is the permanent ink, and it's, for me, it's way better because it dries faster, and sometimes I can put my hand a little bit on the page without noticing it. So this one, it's a little bit less messy, to say. But yeah, it's very, very useful. The only bad thing they have is that when you're traveling on an airplane, they can get a little bit messy and they can explode because of the pressure of the airplane. So be careful with that. If you buy one, like if you go to another country or whatever, and you see one and you're excited and blah blah blah, and you open it and you put it back on your on your luggage, be careful because it can explode. Has happened to me at least 4 times and I didn't learn. But this ring here, you can put it back when you buy it and it's new. Like it comes on the middle, and then you can just put it back again. So don't throw it away. It's kind of important. Can you tell me the best pen for a beginner, because this brush pen looks very expensive? They're not that expensive. Well, it depends where you're at, but these here are about $6, $6 US, for a brush pen like this. But like in Japan, when I was in my trip, these were like $3, $2.50. So you can check out in any, I don't know, maybe Chinese website like AliExpress or whatever, and they could be around that. And you can buy a bunch, like different colors, and it can be not as expensive as it looks. Hello, thanks for joining in. On. Yeah, the thing with composition is that it has to feel like a deja vu every time, because you have to be composing, like making compositions every day, because it's what keeps you grounded to always learning new stuff, because compositions, and like in the end, they have everything. You can add a lot of stuff, not only characters, right? Like this one, to say at least, this is a very heavy composition, a very heavy character composition. But yes, he got them for, yes. You see, he got 4 of them for $6, so it's not that expensive. You just have to look for them, but it just looks like very, very fancy, right? I know it can be a little bit daunting. I thought the same thing at first, and when I saw them that they weren't that expensive, I was like, what? For real? But yeah. The only thing is that they run out of ink, right? But there's a trick where you can just take out the the top here, it has like a safe button there. You can just remove it and just add ink, and you can buy like very cheap ink in bigger volumes and just refill it. It's gonna be a little bit messy, but in the end, with a couple of napkins, you can make the work perfect, and you can just use the same brush over and over until the tip dies, right? But it's not as expensive as it looks. Oh damn. Okay, I didn't know about the prices in India. I hope I'm pretty sure there has to be like an equivalent. You have to look for it because right now, like back in the day, there was only this brand that had them, Pentel and maybe Kuretake, which is also another Japanese brand, but it was a little bit more expensive. So just you have to look for it because yeah, if you can buy a sketchbook like that, but remember this stuff ain't cheap. So like in the end, like if you're gonna be an artist, you have to invest on some of these stuff, and this it's a good investment because it helps you improve a lot. At the beginning, it's gonna be daunting, as I said. It's like sometimes you can just like get very frustrated with a with a tip, but I really recommend like save up, buy one, and you're gonna thank me later because it's very very useful in the long run. Because the beginning, it's hard to get used to it, but it's really nice. Okay, so now I'm gonna do let's put it I'm gonna ask you guys, do you want me to draw another vertical composition or do you want me to draw a horizontal composition so you can see the difference, or do you want me to draw another one of these? You just heard a man, buy one and use it. Don't just wait for the right moment. Exactly, the right moment is every time. All the time is the right moment. Just draw. Horizontal compositions, perfecto. Okay, so here I'm gonna be using a 2-point perspective for this, and I'm gonna be using again diagonal for the horizon line. Okay, so now I'm gonna set my two main vanishing points, and I'm gonna start putting some lines here, throwing them to create a grid so we can understand where our ground is. The closer you put this points to each other, the more warped on the center the composition is gonna get. Like warp. If I put this two here, these intersecting lines are gonna get crazy. But right now, it's a bit. They're not that far away. They're still outside of our frame, but they're not that separated. Okay. These I'm gonna start with a character from the back. Well, not the back. Let's draw some Ryu. See? So here I'm placing the feet first. Yeah, ballpoint pens are great, of course, but to get like the real matte black here on the page, that it doesn't shine, because the problem with the ballpoint is that it leaves a glossy finish. So if you want like a full matte finish, it's way better to do it with a brush pen, and it helps you a lot in time. It saves you lots of time. But if you can do it with your tools, it's also good. Yeah, when I'm sketching, like, and I don't want to just think about it a lot, I just want to throw some lines. I use the ballpoint pens. I started drawing actually with ballpoint pens because when I was at school, I didn't pay attention to my teachers, and I just started drawing everywhere on the desk, on my everywhere. So most of the time, you have a ballpoint pen with you rather than a pencil. So we have Ryu here charging Hadouken, and he's fighting who? Sagat. Yeah. And Sagat's maybe charging a Tiger Cannon. Let's put him. Okay, the further we put him, the smaller he's gonna get. Okay, so I'm gonna choose this for his head. We're just gonna ignore this stuff right here. Okay, and I'm gonna put his feet here. And think about this like a 2D fighting game. Okay, instead of looking at from the front, like they're just fighting from the profile, from the side, we're looking, our camera angle is on the low side, and we are looking to we're looking Ryu as a main, but there's also Sagat here charging his Tiger Cannon thing. So he's maybe his energy is coming to his hands, the fire, and maybe we can also draw like like I don't know if some of you have seen Saint Seiya, but whenever they fought, they got like their signs or their creatures, their spirit appeared on the back. Like whenever Seiya did his Yusei King, his Pegasus appeared on the back, right? So we can use the same logic and apply it here and draw a tiger. A tiger head. It's gonna be like, if it were to be like a color and a finished piece, it'd be like transparent. We can also, like, if you've seen the stage where Ryu and Sagat fought, there was like this Buddha laying on the ground. So we can measure our stage, and here, okay, we can add the Buddha's body. Maybe the feet are gonna be there. Some of a cloth. This is all rock. But you see, it's easier to add elements on the composition because we have our ground. And we know where the characters are being placed. So everything that we add has, like, it doesn't have to be very complicated in the sense that we're not drawing a body first. We're just drawing a box that is gonna be like this coffin for the whole thing. So the figure for the sculpture fits there for the statue. Okay, and now we have here our tiger head. And we can add here, like if we draw a line and we add like a dragon, right? Like a dragon with its head open. With his head open. It's his mouth open, not his head open. It's like all destroyed. but it's like a this tiger and versus dragon thingy. And we can add either some lines, some action lines on the back, or we could add some trees to complete the scenario for Ryu and Sagat. Okay. So now this is a little bit complicated, like confusing. So I'm gonna start adding a little bit of definition for this figures. Co-Spirit says, practicing composition made me realize how important boxes are for placement. They're insanely helpful, keeping things in proportion. Exactly. Exactly. And I'm so happy that those realizations are coming at the moment you're looking at something appear out of basically nothing, right? I'm just drawing on this frame and you're looking at it and you're understanding it. That's very, very important, because a lot of times when you're drawing for yourself and get like all of those terms and rules can get a little bit confusing, because you like sometimes you forget about those, but when you see someone else do it and you recognize it, that's when the wires in your brain are like functioning at the same time you're looking at. That's very, very important. Alright, so basically you need to be good at 3D construction of shapes, but also proportions makes it look believable even with light anatomy. Exactly, yeah. I'm so happy you're getting a grasp of this. You hate Sagat? Please draw another character. I'm gonna draw another composition with other character, because this already has a tiger, man. Look, it has like a big tiger thingy. Which character do you want? And I'll draw the character that rakes us. No. You're gonna be the executioner for the next characters. Any franchise. I hope they know. I hope I know any characters. The pressure. Vanilla Sagat from Street Fighter 4 was a beast. So let's place these anatomical details, not in like the very complex way, but just enough. Here the head should be looking Sagat, but I already misplaced. So that would be something that I change on the final composition, where the head is actually looking. But this is good enough just to place the 3D forms. Yeah, that head's not looking anywhere. But okay. Okay, see how we start adding minimal detail and it starts to appear. We can add some even like effects on the ground, like those exaggerated dust particles. I'm gonna put any scars on Sagat because this might be the time where he gets scarred by Ryu's Shoryuken. The first time Ryu did a random Shoryu out on the ground. Thank you so much, and thanks Rake for putting this right now. Really good friend. Let's add some details to the tiger. Even though it should not. Actually, I'm gonna draw with gray, so it doesn't take attention from the characters. The dragon itself here. I'm just gonna wing it. It's gonna be let's add some shadows on Ryu. So if our light is mainly coming from this Hadoken generating here, being created on his hands, we can just add some shadings around it and create another sense of focal point here. Oh, we are missing Ryu's headband. I'd love to take care of that Ryu's head and make it correct. I'm gonna erase this with ink, okay? This is a Posca marker. This is an acrylic marker. These are very useful for a lot of things. Mostly for highlights. And they can like work on top of the ink. Sorry for the sound, but you have to shake them real good before using them. Then I have here some paper. Now we're gonna take care of Ryu's face because with the ink you cannot erase it anymore. But yeah. So that's our whiteout. And we can create a little bit more of depth with this. Or let's say I have an orange brush pen here, or vermilion as the Japanese call it, and we can add some already energy for Sagat's tiger can. So we have a Ryu here charging his Hadouken, and Sagat starting to charge his attack. So basically, Sagat is just surrounding himself with a lot of energy. Because it's Ryu's focal point, even though Ryu might be our focal point. Like, this is a composition where both characters can be focal points. The thing is, which one draws you faster? And I'd say Sagat, but probably now with the orange, it has a faster drawing power. You see now Ryu. I did drawing of 4 arms from intent last summer using boss methods for a top panel, including some of the other aliens. Yes. Yes, her eyes tend to be drawing for brighter colors, or the opposite, right? Depends. Most of the time, it's brighter. It's the brightest the draws her attention. But if everything's bright and we put something dark, then it's gonna be the opposite. It's a contrast. Most of the time, contrast is what draws our eyes. But yes, that's correct. Most of the time, tends to be the other way around. Okay. Let's add some other details here. So we can actually contain all of the details to the character. And it's not a lot of times we can just shade the whole, like here the Sagat, you can shade the whole leg, and it's gonna push it to the back. It doesn't need detail. It just needs to be well placed, and you can manage a lot of good things with just one stroke. So yeah, adding some details here for the ground, the lights here. You can add some ground effects here at the same time. Blah blah blah. The Buddha. And this page is now filled with, this frame with lots of different elements, but everything works together, right? So even if we put some white here to draw attention to the Hadouken, like the energy from this is being drawn into the Hadouken, like it comes from the back and comes like swirling on his hands, and the energy, like the light, is even coming from Sagat's side, like it's like a Genki Dama that it's being charged from the energy of the surroundings. It creates even more tension and more dynamism with line effects. Of course, with digital art, like if you give this drawing to Rake and if he uses his magical color on this, it'd be crazy, like a playmat for a card game or a desktop. It's like super bright colors and contrast. Okay. So now we're gonna be drawing another vertical composition. And now it's gonna be looked from below, from the bottom to the top. It's gonna be a worm's eye composition. Worm's eye point of view, I'm sorry. And what we can do here, like if we're just gonna put 2 characters or just 1 character, let's use Magic from X-Men, that's very popular right now. So let's say we place this kind of rhomboid here, this rectangle. If you see, it's already going to the top. It's already going to the higher ceiling of the composition. We can just add details here and use this as a guide to place the whole body. Well, not the whole body, the parts that fit for the composition. Now the characters being looks almighty. Something to keep into consideration here is like here the thighs have this lines, so now we can understand that these cylinders are going upwards because we're looking at from below. So you see it's bigger on the bottom and gets smaller the higher we get. You can put her here, her hair here. Her blade is gonna be gigantic in this one. I don't care. Her hand is grabbing, her arm here is grabbing the sword from the top. I remember you mentioning that you tend to draw 5-6 hours a day. Is that still the case? Like, you ever feel guilty for taking breaks from your work? I think that it's a generational thing right now, because with the freelance thing, it's like you feel like you have to be drawing all the time because you can make more drawings or have more client work and whatever, but you have to take breaks. Sometimes I don't know, like I do feel guilty sometimes. Like I used to feel more guilty back in the day, but now I think I'm a little bit more relaxed. I tend to work harder if the occasion requires it, but I tend to be more balanced, I think. But sometimes it's not it's not that easy. Sometimes it's just like very complicated. So let's see. We're gonna be using. Gracias por que bueno que te gustó el dibujo. Waxier Che 456. Okay, so we also change my lines because that one was getting very confusing because the tip was not sharp at all. Did you see composition? Like this is for a card, maybe like it's a power, like charging your powers, whatever. Marvel Snap thingy. And we can have like, I don't know. Now we have more ceiling. We have more working area to have the piece breathe a little, because that's also very important. Like you have to have some space for the characters to breathe, or the composition to have some scape. It cannot be all filled up. Even if it's like everything's so close, there has to be some areas where you can breathe in the composition. It's very important so it doesn't look all cluttered. Okay, now I'm gonna ink this. So because this one's a little bit more complex because of a smaller head, I'm gonna be drawing the face first. Let's see. It's not gonna be 100% accurate. This is just gonna be like as a placement for a composition. Because as I said before, I'm drawing from a little bit far away, so these are very hard to know, to nail down. Because I'm already drawing it on with a little bit of perspective. Okay, what else? This is a better pen for the rest of the body. So I'm using a lot of pens. This is a Sudegokochi sign pen. This is a Kuretake pen. It's a like very like a little bit more fancy than Pentel. And it has better ink, but it runs faster. Like it runs out way faster than the Pentel ones. It's like too fancy for its own good. And let's add some energy here. Surrounding the character. Like it's being generated from the ground. Like here, like everything's like a swirl of power. You can even go. We finish here. So it's like getting a lot of dynamism to a stoic figure. Like it's just standing there. It's not very dynamic. But with that, it creates an illusion of movement. See, we get this type of simple yet effective composition. As I said, these aren't the when you practice composition, you just have to keep in mind that you're gonna be making lots of simple drawings to get to the composition that you're always imagining in your head, like that, like super intense battle and all that stuff. It won't happen before you draw simpler compositions. So you have to draw a lot of these. The more you draw, the more confident you're gonna get, and the easier for you is gonna change your mind when something is not going as planned, because that can happen a lot. Yeah, basically like a ribbon. It's like this is like when Sailor Moon is transforming and all that's like energy like surrounding. It's kind of like that. You can just add the darker parts with the brush pen. You see, and it creates this sense of completion, like the piece is finished, but it's far from it. It's just a simple doodle that can be turned into something else, yeah. But right now, it's just having fun and discovering a composition to work around. You can add these like teeth on the shading on the sides, and it creates this sense of volume. And as I said, like these drawings are very simple in terms of detail, but they can create a lot of intensity and groundwork for you to make a more complex piece in the future. So if you're able to do a lot of these when you go to a bigger composition and you have like some trouble drawing in a bigger scale, you can just take a picture of one of these. And if you want to draw, and if you're gonna do it digitally, you can just take a picture, fix some of the whatever, like if the composition is wrong, if you have something that is not like perfectly placed, anything, you can just fix it on the tablet. And of course, it's a very helpful way to get you finished drawings. Sorry for my slow thinking, slow speaking, but yeah, thinking lots of stuff at the same time. Okay, so we have here another horizontal composition. What are we gonna do with this? Okay, so what we can do is we can just throw a line in the middle for the horizon line, and we can just start adding lines here. Like we're gonna make this C line here curved, and we're gonna start adding some details right away. Well, not details, but just some lines. And now it looks like the inside of a cave, and we already have something going on. It's just the flow of the line. So we can have like this inside of a cave. We can add like a dragon or something going outside of a cave, like a dinosaur. So the wings are gonna be problematic here. It's looking from the back. See, it's just having fun. We can add more mountains in the back, more islands or whatever. If there's water here, like a lake, it's just a matter of not being afraid of the page and just doing something real fast. And then you can just, if it's just an exercise, right? We can add some value for it. See? You create a sense of a frame here, like a more complete frame. Which is drawing, having fun. What is this? This is more like a painting, because we're just using like a very simple drawing, and then we're just putting some value. We can keep adding stuff. We can even add some darker tones. But nah, like I feel like this two-tone drawing is good enough to just leave it as this. Thunderfuck says, I've been pretty intimidated of canvases recently. I've been through the worst burnout I've had for art. I hope I can break out of it soon. Yeah, like I know it can be very daunting, it can be very complex, but this is why drawing in smaller frames, smaller compositions, smaller canvas like this, it can get your game going. Just don't get too comfortable only drawing this, because if you only draw this, then you're gonna get afraid of drawing the more complex stuff and drawing details. So it's a balance. Whenever you get too comfortable with something, you have to use it for something else and keep it alive, keep it rolling. Don't never get too comfortable. It's part of the it's part of the game. Like if you're playing some game competitively, and then the meta changes because a new thing, a new character came in, a new balance, and it's gonna shake you, right? So now and then you have to adapt. So art's the same thing, because you cannot, it's impossible to know it all. So the more you are flowing with it and learning how to learn new things, it's gonna make it easier for you. That's not a good one. Let's see, I'm gonna use another one of the purple. And another battle scene, but like let's draw it a little bit more active. Let's draw Pokemon now. Let's draw Charizard versus Blastoise. Let's keep it classic. So I drew the dragon on the top, and I was like, yeah, I want to draw some Charizard. You have to keep learning. That's why. You have to keep using what you learn and put it into practice. That's the only thing, because you get stagnated because it gets hard to just go with the flow. Because like it's how can I say it? It's like you're thinking too much about what you cannot achieve at the moment instead of doing with what you already have. So you have to use the basics, start from basics, basic, and just make it as a stepstone, and then it's gonna get easier. Yes. That makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Koji Leo. You can add some on the some elements on the background for a stadium. We can just draw. The more I draw right now, because I started doing the Wolverine a little bit more tight, then I'm starting getting a little bit faster right now. I just want to see more compositions and more compositions. That's definitely gonna help. Shapes, always getting shapes going. Because anything you draw, it's it's a combination of shapes. Hello. Hello and welcome everyone that is joining in right now. You see how it's getting simpler and simpler and simpler because now we're just adding details. The thing is to think in a simple way. Okay? Big shapes. It's not important if the chart here doesn't look perfect or whatever. Of course, we need the wings, right? We can just add. I'm gonna destroy this composition here and give a flying. Damn. See, now this looks better. We can just cover this so it's actually looking at the Blastoise. It can be whatever the composition is. You can just complete it, and you can keep adding and expanding it. Sometimes it needs to be expanded because it doesn't fit. You can keep adding stuff. But if you follow the rules of composition, if you follow the rules of perspective, anything you keep adding makes sense. Like, we're just making an extended art here. Here's the ground. We can add some clouds in the back. We can even add the trainer's hand. You can charge or use whatever, you know. We can add more rocks on the battlefield. And keep expanding this because it's the same thing. It's just following the rules of perspective. And it starts getting easier. Something that can help us separate a little bit here is just adding a little bit of the orange to the tail of Charizard so we can get the fire thing going. When we have that, sometimes we can make compositions in an easier way. With just like adding, let's say the magic here, like that same composition, but for a panel, like Frieza in Dragon Ball. This is the same frame. We're just using. I mean, it's the same. It's the same perspective. The thing is that we're zooming into the character, and it looks less complex, but it's the same perspective. That's why it's very important to know the rules. what can we do here? It's just, since the light is coming from this side, let's put a red here. For dark energy, like evil energy, like Sith and all that, like mostly red. We can add a sense of depth real quick. By placing the shading. Yeah, it looks like Mega Man. You see, we're using the light is also part of the composition. Yeah, it's Frieza, but it looks like Mega Man, like because of the ear thingies. Well, what else we can do is add some dark background, so we can make it pop a bit more. And you see, I'm not drawing any complex line work here. I'm just filling in the gaps and making the composition reveal itself. It's like, does it work? Maybe, maybe not. We just have to keep adding stuff. And of course, if we make it a little bit more detailed, whatever, it's gonna eventually work. But it's very important that also at the beginning, if you add stuff, to see how it's gonna work, and if you want to change your direction right away. And add a little bit of white out here. It's gonna make it a little bit. Let's add some composition lines. Like it just makes it look more complete. It's just like finding the aura, right? Like the character looks like itself, not only because it looks like it, because it's also acting like the character acts. So when you're drawing a character that you don't know, you have to go and look for references. Like you have to see what's the character's context to make it look more authentic. Like if you draw Ryu acting like Ken, it looks weird because they're opposite basically. So it's like unless that's your intention of the piece, like make Ryu act more like outgoing and whatever, and that's like, oh, you're just making your statement is like, yeah, this character can do this and whatever. But otherwise, it's always gonna look. It's gonna like answer so many of your questions. Like, how can I make a good composition? Like, you have to find a sense of harmony of what you're drawing and what you're trying to achieve. Like, what's the purpose of each pose? What's the purpose of each point of view? Like, if it's working or not. Does it look like a character or not? Like if we draw Spider-Man walking on the street, like walking on New York, like a normal person with his suit, it's like it's making a statement. It's like making Spider-Man wouldn't do this, but he's doing it. So that's like part of the composition itself, like making something that it's not obvious or making it the other way around. But most of the time, we're gonna be working with the context of the character, and that helps composition a lot, like understanding what you're drawing. That's what I'm trying to say. Let me add some lines to this so we can define it. But it's it's already kind of defined in its own. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it like that. It doesn't need a lot of lines. Now, let's add another composition, and now we're gonna start with a rule of thirds. What's the rule of thirds, you may ask? So it's you divide your frame into 9 sections. The easiest part is throwing just lines like that. Don't put attention to. I'm gonna erase this one. Yeah, I'll also erase the purple one. This purple leads. Lead? I'm sorry. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. But these ones are colored and they are erasable, so they're pretty useful. Okay, so what do we do with this? The thing is that in the rule of thirds, most of the time, we use these intersection points. These intersecting points right here, like all of these, can have a kind of like a focal point, and whatever goes through those points is gonna have a hierarchy of importance. So let's say I add Batman here. His head is in the middle. Then we add Catwoman on the back. I know it's a very straightforward composition, but it's important to see how it works and why it works so efficiently. We can even cut this a little bit short. Hey, sup? Welcome, welcome. Welcome everyone that is joining in. Right now we're talking about the rule of thirds. We drew some X-Men, some Street Fighter, some Pokemon, some Dragon Ball, everything. Anything. Basically. Whatever comes to mind. Okay, so let's say here we are looking at Batman and he's looking forward and she's in the back like luring him. Even if we add like if it were a comic panel and we could add some of the dialogues here, whatever you can imagine here. He can just have 3 dots, right? We can add some parts of buildings in the back, and she's trying to whatever say something to him. And he's like, he's not falling for it. But he wants to, because he's very attracted to Catwoman. So we can read all of those elements in a composition, even though it's a very simple one. We can change how the character's being placed. We can make a contrapposto. to shake off the balance. Right? And since these points right here are exactly where the characters are, you're gonna be looking at Selena Kyle's forehead. But if she has some, I don't know, like if there's like a shine, like there's a highlight bouncing off of her suit, it can be very important if it's very dark, and that part specifically, it's like very well lit. Hello, Francis. Okay, so now we can have this area, like lights coming from our right. Well, I don't, yeah, it's coming off right. Okay, so we can start shading this. And it's gonna look very complete, very fast. If you have trouble finishing projects because they're too long and you just get like a lot of distractions and whatever, try this. And maybe your forte is not on drawing finished pieces, but maybe on like a storyboard artist or whatever. Like you always have to find your strengths and see and be honest with yourself. Like, can you sit for 25 hours like in 3 days and finish like a painting? Maybe you have to force yourself to do it, and maybe you do it, but maybe you never enjoy it, and you never know, and you're suffering. And maybe you can draw the same time, like the same amount of time, but everything in storyboard, and you don't need to detail anything, but you can finish a work, and that's a work that is very appreciated in the industry. And you have to always find your strengths. Like there are some people that love rendering and can be rendering all day long and they don't mind it. I'm not a huge fan of rendering, but sometimes I have to because of some projects, right? So always find your strengths, see what works best for you, but also you also something that you don't like, you sometimes you have to try it because you have to see if you really don't like it, or maybe you're just afraid to try it out. So at least give it a try and then see what actually is for you. And if you're a person that can do everything and you don't get tired of changing your ways, well, go for it. Good for you. You see, I'm just using simple shapes to find the anatomy here. I'm trying to sketch right now. Get used to drawing again. Thanks for motivating me. Yeah. Draw. Feel whatever, however you feel. Just draw. Even if you only have an hour a day, if you have less, if you have 5 minutes, use them. Give yourself permission to try new things and to not expect from yourself the best drawing right away. Like, give yourself permission to commit mistakes, and that's in the end. It's not about making it, like, mistakes are more important than whatever else, because that's what makes you learn and see, like, learning from mistakes is very important. Remember, everybody commits mistakes, but not everyone fixes them. Okay, that you have to always understand that everybody's gonna commit errors, mistakes, mess ups, whatever. But you have to be on the side of people that are aware of them and that can fix them. You see, let's cut the frame here. Some cinematic. Yeah. Inking is very, very useful. That's why I told you, like, about the brush pen, because brush pen makes it faster, so you don't have to, like, spend a lot of energy. Everything is about energy in the end. All of it, like, how much energy are you left after each drawing, and how can you keep that energy up to make more, to keep your morale up and all that stuff. And that's why, like, being part of, like, right now that we're making this as a community is very good, because right now you're drawing, you're here with me listening to my stutters but at the same time we're learning, we're growing. I'm learning how to be a streamer, in the sense that I like, this is very new for me. I've taught classes before, but it's not the same. Like, right now, like, it's a little bit more, a little bit complex, but a little bit more daunting, in the sense that it's open. You see, so we made different compositions using different language. And every single one of them works for their own purpose, right? That's why it doesn't matter if it's a Pokemon or if it's a real person or a superhero. In the end, It's all a matter of composing and using those tools as your advantage. And the more you're used to this, the less time you can spend on pencil, and the easier you can jump to ink and make it look finished. Okay, I'm just gonna start another sketch right here, a bigger composition. Thank you. Pencils are also, for me, pencils and ink are my favorite tools to draw. Let's say here, how to resolve, like, we can make a fast head. Like, everything is like fractals. You can use the same things to compose a small part or a bigger part, because everything has smaller fractals of the same thing, right? Like hands, heads. The thing is, how can we resolve all of those parts when we're drawing a composition and we don't get like fixated on them, right? Like on heads, whatever. So if we draw a head here, it's, yeah, because the thing is that sometimes you get a little bit lost between the detail of the first placements in the drawing. And even this head right now, like, it's not complex at all, but this is enough, like for a pencil for a comic, like this is enough for me to either ink it or to let it be like as a maybe storyboard or whatever. Like, this is already good enough, because you can draw, you can sketch considering light and shadow since the beginning, and those fractals for shapes help a lot. The reality is that you have to be, like, in this times you have to be good at both traditional and digital, because sometimes if you want to push yourself for the industry, you're going to be working on both ones, because digital tends to be way faster for finished stuff, so sometimes you don't have the time to make like a traditional piece and do all the things. But let's say this is a head, like, let's make this is level 2. Let's make 3 levels. 1, 2, and level 3. The level 1 for a head, it can be for a composition, right? And that's good enough. This could be a level 2 and a level 3, like if it's a frame that requires more detail on the head, or it's basically all head. The composition, it's a close up. Right now, I'm drawing very loosely, with a very loose flow. Because since I'm drawing a lot right now, I don't want to spend all my wrist energy on sketches, right? I'm gonna be using a little bit of my shoulder and elbow to make more connected lines. Would you mark out perspective points around this stage? What do you mean? And which stage? And the frame that I'm working on, that I'm gonna be doing? Or in the heads? Well, yeah, most of the time I do use them. Sometimes if the composition is very tight, I don't. But yeah, in this case, I'll be putting some perspective, at least for the main character, because sometimes we can do like a, how can you say it, like a Star Wars poster type of composition, where you can get the like 3-4 characters in the middle doing something, and then you start getting heads, you know, like Darth Vader head or Darth Maul or whatever, like in the background, and that's like a very good composition to work around, and it sometimes changes perspective, but most of the time it does follow a single point. I'm gonna be drawing one of those right here. But let's say here, there's level 3. Of course, it can be level 4, 5, 6, like, and I mean, this is like more on sketch side. Didn't mention that. But yeah, this is a little bit more complex. You see the differences between, like, we can ink this level 1 one just to see how see, like this. Since the composition or the head itself was very straightforward, we can ink very swiftly and get a nice result that will be very useful either for storyboards or for characters in a panel or comic that aren't like that important. Like, it can be like, I don't know, in the middle ground. But like this, these two are gonna be more closer in general. Okay. I'm gonna be placing one point perspective for this composition, and it's gonna be like more of a Star Wars type of poster. I mean, this is gonna be my last drawing for the night. I was gonna make this also a horizontal, but nah, other day. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks so much for being here and listening to what I'm saying, for commenting. It means a lot, especially right now that we're starting, like, for everyone to be here and giving out their support. Thanks so much. Also, don't forget to subscribe and to leave a like if you can. Thank you, Samantha. It's a pleasure. So let's make a composition of Ryu and Sagat again, because we did that composition because Rick doesn't like Sagat, so I'm gonna draw him again. I'm gonna be making a reference to there's a cover for, I believe, Ryu and Akuma, but there's also I don't remember, but it's Frieza and Goku looking at each other, like, I don't know if it's supposed to, like, it didn't happen on the show or the manga. I believe it was a cover or something. And thanks for those who keep joining. Do you have a go-to or favorite warm-up exercise? This, for me, this is a warm-up exercise, like just drawing compositions where I'm not actually making a lot of effort on drawing super complex faces or anything. But if I were to, like, just warm up my hand or whatever, like just draw straight lines, curves, like crossing, circles, you know, all that kind of stuff really does work. Like making compositional grids. Like, okay, learning. On the future days, I'm gonna talk about like 4-point perspective, 5-point perspective, 3-point perspective. I'm gonna be drawing. I'm gonna be still speaking about this, but also I'm gonna be bringing some Copics, some markers, Olo markers, Copics, Ahuhu, different brands, because they have different colors for different things. But yeah. So let's say we have this composition here, and we have Akuma in the back. And you see, like, since he's on the higher side, we can see his head from below, like he's watching from above. This is a Street Fighter Alpha poster. We also have Bison here, because he's on the Sagat side. We can put the cape. These connecting lines are very important to master in the sense that it gets you to the places you want to go way faster than other methods, but they are hard to get in the sense that you have to draw a lot of time drawings. Like if you have to go and practice your speed, your confidence in lines, because they have to be teamed up with perspective, teamed up with a lot of fundamentals. You can draw Vega here. I don't know which one, Alpha 2 or 3 started getting the Shadowloo characters. So we can start adding these types of compositions. We could put the hand of Akuma, like if it's the hand of Buddha. Under them. Like it doesn't matter, like he's the final boss. And that gives a narrative of composition, but you need to know which are like the story of your characters to actually make this fast. It's like, or you have to be very, very fast to, I don't know, to come up with something whenever you see some characters. Like, you see that, it's like, oh, I'm gonna make this. You see another thing, it's like, oh, I'm gonna switch it to that. Like the yin yang here, the yin yang symbol, maybe like powers coming from their side. It's like a dragon on Ryu's side. It's like the tail of a tiger on Sagat's side. And maybe, yeah, Ryu has like this dragon tail. Like, we don't put the heads of them because the heads are the characters themselves, like Ryu's head and Sagat's head. But the tails, and make this infinite, like this 8 in the middle, where we can just create the tension of an endless battle between the tiger and the dragon, like the yin yang, like this, and this is an endless cycle. So that's like how you start composing, like what's gonna make it look more interesting, what's gonna take the most amount of information and simplify it in a poster, simplify it in an image. But there's a lot of thought underneath, but it's not taking a lot of your time while you're doing it. It's just like, you know, the subjects, you know what you can do. And of course, the more you practice, the more you get used to adding stuff, and the more you know your characters, the easier this process is gonna become. Now all of this, it's getting recorded on YouTube, so you can look at this endlessly. I'm really happy that this is being recorded. Thank you. This poster would be, yeah, insane. I'd love to see it like in a shirt or something. I've worked with a friend. I consider him my friend. Like he's called Heresy Tees on Instagram, and we've made some designs before. This could be a good design for that. It's all for Ryu, so it's like the one that has the other hair. And I also believe that we could take some parts of this video and make them some shorts, or some parts, because a lot of this stuff, well, it's too much, and sometimes it can get buried on the 2-hour video. But maybe we can just make some highlights of this as well. Would you like that? Yay. You see, like the eyes of Akuma are exactly looking at Ryu, like at his project, basically his evil Hado. Yeah, exactly. I've seen some channels do that. Like, it will get people to get interested. Like, oh, yeah, I have to be there next time, right? We managed to stay very consistent today, with between 18, 17. I'm very, very grateful for you guys. It's almost the same amount I had on my classes. And we start drawing heads here. Heads and heads. But we still have our main course. We have I was gonna say Vegeta, but it's good Vega. Now that I think of, it could be that look, there's this parallelism between Street Fighter and Dragon Ball, whereas Bison is Frieza, Sagat is Vegeta, Raditz and Nappa are Balrog and Vega, and Goku only wins against that first battle against Vegeta because of Yajirobe cutting his tail and ending the fight, and also Ryu won because he did the random shooting, but he was already on the ground. He already lost the battle. But then they become friends and rivals. Like Sagat eventually becomes good, like Sagat, like Vegeta. I don't know, just a random thought. Came to me right now. And the light source is very important as well. Like, we make Akuma here have the light in his hand, and we can have here Akuma have like this light from underneath, making it more dramatic. It's always intense, right? To have like that kind of light makes it more big, more serious. And it's a matter of here. It is a matter of knowing the head, like the planes of the head, which there are a lot of YouTubers, thousands, that can explain that properly. And you can go to Proco, you can go to I don't know, like I'm starting to forget names, but yeah, like you can go to Mark Burnett. You can look like there's a lot of other artists that can explain this really well. Like I can also do it, but I'm gonna do it later. Right now, I'm just drawing it. But the head and all that stuff, I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna be making more of these videos in the future. Also, in my Patreon, I have some tutorials I have never before seen videos as well, where I'm gonna be plaguing your socials with new stuff every day. How to keep strong in social media and posting and drawing and chatting with clients and all. It's insane, but it's part of it. So if you want to succeed in this, you have to be one step at a time, until you get comfortable juggling a lot of stuff. And always, like, don't be afraid to ask for help, and also be humble enough to understand when you're failing at this point, and you have to take advice and hear it and apply it to your flow, right? Today's stream was gonna be shorter, but Ray told us that it was better to make it longer, so thank him. And I'm enjoying it a lot right now. With this drawing, I'm right now very comfortable with the composition. I'm not gonna ink it. I'm gonna leave it here and in this stage, because it would be like a lot of work to ink all of this. But it is very I believe, like, gratifying to see that you stood throughout the whole life. Right now, we're about to close it in about 5 minutes. So if you want to ask something, you have some questions, right now is the perfect time to do so. Although, yeah, I want to keep thanking you for staying through this life. Am I watching any animes at the moment? I was watching Ranma. We finished it, and now I want to watch Dragon Ball GT again from the beginning, because I saw a part of the ending that is like, I didn't see it with my grown-up eyes, and I want to see Dragon Ball GT again. I was also looking at Jujutsu Kaisen for the first time, and I was liking it. Not my favorite, but I know people love it, so I'm not gonna say anything negative about it. But yeah, it was looking promising, but I wasn't very into it. Also, we watched Dandadan, and what else? One of my favorite ones is Dungeon Meshi. I want to watch it again too. I want to rerun it. We make some. Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen. I was looking at, I was watching it, but I don't know. It just didn't get me. It didn't capture me. At least not right now. I know that it's a very very good series, but maybe I wasn't right in the mood when I started watching it. I'm gonna give it another try. It's time. The problem is having the time. I don't know who Nanami is. But I'm gonna try to forget that name so I don't get myself so spoiled when I look at it. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a second run. Again, thank you so much for joining in. These are the last seconds of the live. I'm gonna be making another one on Wednesday. And after that, I'm gonna take a week off from the lives because I'll be out of town. So I won't be able to make that, but we're gonna be uploading videos still on our channel. So we're gonna keep the account active throughout those days that we will be making any lives. Thank you so much, Rick. Thank you. Yeah, we're gonna be making more. I'm motivated right now. Thanks so much for pushing me to do this, Samantha and Rake. Thank you so much. I'll be making one, and yeah, I'm gonna be making an overview of the drawings we did. Here's the Street Fighter Alpha composition. Thank you so much to the new viewers as well. Thank you, Rake, a lot for bringing in new people to the community. We did a lot of drawings. Thank you, and see you soon. This video will be live tomorrow, I believe, or maybe tonight. So yes, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so grateful for you guys. See you tomorrow. Well, see you in 2 days.